And now we start another lesson. Is there a soul? Do we have to worry about our actions in this world? Or is it enough that we're happy here? If all there is this world, so all that you're supposed to do is accomplish in this world, and unless you've accomplished everything in this world, then you're not successful, not ultimately successful. Is religion the opiate of the masses, allowing the masses who are poor and afflicted and need to lick the boots of the guy that's on top? Is that all religion is? Is religion just an opiate? We've proven more or less that there has to be a God, that there's an original being that's infinite that causes things to happen. Does this God allow that misery should be justified, that tyranny should exist permanently? Does God allow murderers to get away with it? Does God have no moral code and allows evil to rule others? We live in a world where, unseen by us, there are thousands and tens of thousands of little girls and some little boys sold into slavery every week, every month, every year, into perpetual slavery. You think slavery was abolished? Slavery hasn't been abolished. There are people who engage in human trafficking. And those human traffickings, those children are abused till they die. And then there are gangs who are predators on others. And then there are oligarchs who sit over all these things and manipulate them for their own benefit. Does God not care? And the ultimate question is there an afterlife? And so the first and foremost item that you have to teach your children is the question, do you believe in a soul? And is the soul existing after death? Most people will say, well, I've never seen it. It's never happened to me. I've never experienced a person coming back after death. I've never experienced it either. I had dreams of people who came to me in my dream. But I haven't seen anybody. Is there a soul after death? Is there such a thing as a soul? How can you, Bergstein, how can you, Chaim Moshe Bergstein, say with certainty that there is a soul? The answer is, I'm not the one that's saying it. Doctors are saying it. Psychiatrists are saying it. People who've done research are saying that there has to be a soul. Not because they're emotional simpletons, and not because they've got fears of dying. They have empirical evidence of people who were able to recognize things when they were clinically dead. According to all measurements, they were clinically dead for a significant period of time, and during that time, they experienced certain things and they came back and told us about them. And lest you think it's just a bunch of imagination, just about every single culture And every culture and every country of the world has these things, not just in single numbers, but in the thousands. These doctors have conducted thousands and tens of thousands of interviews over decades. And they've concluded that the mind is not the body. The mind works with the body. The body serves as a filter. The brain serves as a filter for the mind, so the mind doesn't get overwhelmed by what it can possibly see and know. But there is a mind that is above the body, and it's beyond the body, and it lasts after the body decomposes. There's no other way of explaining it. It's incontrovertible. We're not talking about one or two crazy people with crazy ideas. We're talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people over the decades that have reported these things. And they're consistent, 96, 98% consistent. I don't know what else, how much greater a consistency you can get. Yeah, well, you know, some of them saw Buddha, and some of them saw Jesus, and some of them saw Allah, and some of them saw... Yeah, it's true. That's because we have... The mind is a filter. It will only see what it's prepared to see, prepared to understand. But common to all the threads, common to all of these visions and these experiences is the singularity of the mind of the soul existing after death and communicating with a supernal being that is infinite, infinitely good, infinitely compassionate. And the ones reporting this are not religious fanatics. They're doctors who grew up as atheists or at best agnostics. So the next lesson that's important is to teach the kids about a soul, that your soul is eternal. And how you think and how you speak, not, I'm going to turn it to me, how I think, how I speak, and how I do makes my soul. Your soul is what you make it. And that lasts. And the scary part of it is this what you want to look like when you see God? All of those thoughts, all of those frustrations, all those angers, is this what you want to present yourself to God? And the answer is, of course not. And that's the next lesson. How do we want to present ourselves before God at any time? Not because we're going to die, but because God is real, the soul is real, and we want to present ourselves before God, whether it's in the temple, in the synagogue, in the shul, the Beis Medrash. We got to present ourselves at one point or another before God. How are we going to present ourselves before God? This is what you got to teach your kids. And this is not something that is religious fanatics. This is something that's universal. It can be taught not just to Reform and conservative Jews, it can be taught to Christians and Muslims, Buddhists, animists, pagans. Don't make a difference. The soul is real, the soul is eternal, and the soul communicates with an infinite being of love and compassion. How much love and how much compassion do I really have if all I care about are my own petty pleasures? So this is the section of the soul that I would present to all the Hebrew schools, everywhere, to all the religious schools, in fact.